So the agenda for today's webinar is the following. We will have a welcome introduction announcement of the Enrich Ecosystem Series winners. We will then have the presentation of the Agriculture Technologies and Food Technology Innovation Market Guides. We will dive into the Philadelphia ecosystem. We will have a discussion about comparing Philadelphia with other regions' ecosystems in California. And finally, we will have 10 minutes for Q&A and conclusion. I'm happy that I have today with me as speakers, Mr. Sebastian Torre, who is the President and CEO of EAEC and part of the Enrich Network, Mr. John Loperena, who is the Vice President of Agriculture, Infrastructure and Transportation and Trade and Open Innovation Initiatives of EAEC, Antony DiBruno, who is the Business Development in Intl University, Dennis Donohue, who is the Director of the Center for Innovation Technology at Western Growers, and the person that I'm speaking is Babis Ipektsidis, and I am an innovation expert at INTRASOFT International and a member of the Enrich Network. Having said that, I would like to start this webinar, and here I would like to pass the floor to Mr. Sebastian Torre, who will present the winners of the AgriFood Ecosystem Showcase and also the prizes that they won. Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you all for participating. Hope everybody's staying safe. Kind of crazy times, but so many activities online for all of you, and we make sure that all the activities and events that we were planning at the time now are moving online until we see the end or almost the end of COVID-19. So we have done an ecosystem series, it's called Ecosystem Showcase series on different industries, and instead of doing tours and trips, we decided to introduce the different centers and hubs and the ecosystem to our audience and to the different members of now the Enrich ecosystem. So we've done that like every 3 weeks. That was the last one for this series was last week. It was on Agri-Tech and Food Tech, and we had a large presentation and 3 rooms with 3 different ecosystems. So St. Louis, Missouri, Northern California with San Luis Obispo, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 4 startups did a pitch on in each room. We had a panel of judges that were scoring each of them, and we have promised a prize. So here are the results. In the room of St. Louis, Missouri, we have OmniOpti with Martin. I don't know if Martin is here, but bravo, Martin, and a great presentation. And we will send, obviously, to everyone their score and the different comments of the judges. So bravo, bravo, Martin. The next one was in the room of Northern California with San Luis Obispo with Cal Poly. And different participant of that ecosystem, and the winner is Be Secure with Roberto Pazzi. So bravo, Roberto! Great presentation.
Thank
Roberto
you.
Yeah, thank you, Roberto. We've been working together now for a while. You were one of the first participants of those tours that we used to organize. So thank you for the follow-up, and thank you for participating. And we see how much progress you're making, and so great pitch, and thank you again. Thank you for being here too. The last presentation was in the last 4 pitches in the room of Philadelphia was, and the winner was D4 Smart Farming with Jose Fernandez. I don't know if Jose is here, but I want to congratulate him and thank you. It was also a great pitch.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. The prices are on the next slide, so it's not a big thing, but also to congratulate you also for your time So we will give, and Jack Enkel, that's part of the Enrich consortium, will take care of that. So we will put you in contact with Jack. So there's 500 euros for each of you. Then we are doing a joint PR with our PR team, where we will announce the Ecosystem Showcase and the winners so we're going to do a PR in the US, and then we will support any announcement what you want to make in Europe using that PR. And obviously, we had a chance of having Yield Lab in the last presentation, which is an accelerator around St. Louis, Missouri. And now we have a chance to have Denis Donohue from Western Growers, another accelerator on the West Coast. He will introduce himself. Thank you, Denis, for coming today. And the point is, for the ones that had a chance to participate and the one that had a chance to win, we'll make sure that you get introduced to Yield Lab and Western Growers, which are now supporting us, and we will move that relationship forward as we are establishing the centers and hubs in next phase 2, which is another 3 years, 3.5 of activities, and making sure that we help you guys, early stage deep tech entrepreneurs, profit from the US market and profit from our stakeholders and ecosystem. Thank you again. The next slide. So if you didn't know what was Enrich, Enrich is an H2020 program funded by the European Commission. It started with 3 initiatives, one in the US, one in China, one in Brazil. We have now a new initiative coming out in India, Africa, and I think South America. It's all about establishing a network of centers and hubs in those different areas, again supported by the European Commission. So now we're talking about 20 million euros that's been put to make sure that those early stage entrepreneurs, also the researchers that didn't have that support, can suddenly have access to those locations and be able to collaborate and commercialize their technologies in those regions early enough, so really early stage, what we call underserved innovators, the one that usually don't really think about going in those areas. That was the whole plan of the European Union. So thank you, European Union, for organizing such a great network. So now we can go to the next slide. It's important to remind you what we've been working on. So we've been establishing the centers and hubs, a center in San Francisco, a center in Boston, a center in Washington, D.C., and hubs in different areas of the U.S. You can see the list. There are a lot of university-centric, so we look for a university. We're trying to put together a soft landing, and we put stakeholders that we call ambassadors around, and we do all those activities, events, and especially the soft landing program and curriculum together. So here we have one of those hubs and centers that we've been working. I say we have the DC centers, and around we have the hub of Philadelphia. We decided to invite the team of Philadelphia to explain what we are doing together in a particular field, AgTech and Food Tech. So thank you for being here, and that's what you see on the slide, focusing on Philadelphia today. We can go to the next slide. So a lot of activities, a lot of events. If you heard about Enrich, you heard about maybe some matchmaking activities during trade shows, a lot of pitching events, like in fact the one we did last week. So now we do them online, but a lot of pitching events where we will bring hundreds of investors and hundreds of startups together, making sure they pitch, making sure they meet. So that's what we've been known for. You can see that it starts with informing, training, workshop, putting some market kits together to make sure we can explain, what we're talking about when we talk about the US. Then there is the fact that you can do you can participate in a tour or a trip to visit those regions. And there's all those mentorings and training and during those soft landings that we started, and all of that was through pilots, and now we put that together. We did put that together, and the next phase, you will see that all of that we just take place in those centers and hubs. So a lot of soft landing programs being put together. And really, an important thing, you go to the US, you're probably looking for investors, you're probably looking for a network of angels. So we make sure that your investment ready. We have a platform we are putting together to facilitate those introduction to mentors and investors. So these are what we call the journey of the entrepreneur, all the elements of the journey. That's what we've been working on for the last 3 years. Next slide. In our consortium, you've seen we have 9 partners, so everybody's doing different things. We have 2 partners that have been working on those specific papers, research papers, and market guides. These are the ones that we published. We will present a little the one that we finalized on the food tech and ag tech. That would be Babis from INTRASOFT, that we do that introduction. And that would be what we will introduce. You can go to the website. We have 2 websites, the Enrich network website and another website that explain what we do in one of the centers, specifically the San Francisco Center. But all of those studies and research are in the network website, and you will see the location of the site. So you can download it, it's free. We want to make sure that you can have access to that information. And like we're doing today, we are presenting those papers, and we can go a little deeper with one of our partners that can also explain what they do and how they relate to those papers that we are presenting. So we can go to the next slide. We wanted to invite Herman. I saw Herman coming in. We wanted to invite Herman to present. Herman has been working at EAEC for a very long time. He's been also part of the Enrich initiative. He's really the expert in AgTech for our team. And we wanted him to give us his 2 cents on really what he feels about the market, the opportunity, explain what he knows about some regions of the US. And we will end up with explaining why we do where the presentation today is on Philadelphia. So thank you, Herman, for coming. Thank you for your participation. This is a little bio for you, and I give you the floor. And Babis is taking care of the slides. Thank you, Herman.
Thank you very much. It will be very brief. I will not go with the slides. I just want to point out 4 or 5 recommendations to the companies and startups that are willing to get into the endeavor of going into the USA. First, let me start just a brief bio. Is that I'm at EAEC. I take care of the business development for AgTech. And EAEC and Enrich, we focus on startups, and then we have, for companies that are already stronger, we have advancedagriculture.com that you can go anytime there. But regarding US, in US there are 50 states, okay, 50. Those are 50 markets. Those are 50 different political systems. 50 are completely different regions, well, in a common country under federal laws, but you must consider each state as one different. Now, today that we are focusing in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, well, what would I say about this region that I've been working with them for more than 20 years? It's a very welcoming region. is very well located, is a center, is a good hub where, you know, you have from Philadelphia, you have very close by train or by car, you have New York, you have Washington, you have many areas as well. Talking more into focus about agriculture, you have actually there are distributors that work in different states like New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it's a good hub, is a nice place to live, and if you are into in farming, in what is agricultural farming, is not one of the top states, but is very good because if you like to be in not in the top state in the beginning and you need to learn and you need to enter the country, is not a bad place to start because in other places you will be like a fly or a number. In Philadelphia, they will treat you like by your name. They are very welcoming. And then you have great research centers, not only in biotech, but in agtech, in technology. You know, in Pennsylvania, you have Carnegie Mellon, you have Penn State, and you have Temple University. Temple is a great center to start. And what is most important is one of the centers that will be really trying to help you the most because they are starting in this area. And as you know, when you are starting, you need to do an extra effort. And my 5 points for those that are starting the venture of the US, taking into consideration that agtech is so wide that we would need 5 hours to speak. If you are in robotics, or if you are in smart farming, or if you are into advanced fertilizers, I don't know, it's very, but general terms common to any sector that you are in. First, USA is a different animal. You may be doing very well in Mexico, in Peru, in Czechoslovakia, in Germany. The US is different. You cannot plan your business development as like you do in your country or in other regions. Very important, and this is key, have your solution well tested. Have your product, solution, technology perfectly tested. Consider in your business development strategy to do trials, pilots, or tests. Okay, you need local pilots, local trials. You may have done many trials around the world. The US requires local trials. Okay, so be prepared for that. The US farmer is highly professionalized. They are big entrepreneurs, big business people, more and more highly educated. I have in my network of farmers all around the US, I have farmers that graduated from Stanford, from Berkeley, from Cal Poly, from Penn State, from all over. So be ready to interact with very professional people. So you need to be very professional and keep your word, okay? But remember, trials. As well, perform an in-depth benchmark. My experience is that 99.999% of the companies have not performed a benchmark, in-depth benchmark. And it's very simple. When you ask them if you have competition, many of them, they will tell you no, something that is almost impossible. And some of them may not have done that homework in the US. So please take your time to do a good benchmark. And you know, this hubs, these tech centers, these universities can help you do that a lot. You need to understand that you will need resources. The US needs companies and needs resources. It's not, the US is not cheap, and there are not shortcuts. This, remember, this program for Enrich is just a first step. People is willing to help you, but remember, it's first step, is nothing else. Remember, you will need resources, and sooner or later, you will need to hire professionals for developing business. You know, usually European tech companies focus a lot on technology, in the solution, but they forget about selling or about business developing. They may think that by having a great solution, they can sell by itself. No. So congrats to the winners. Welcome to the Enrich program. Thank you for being here. And, you know, as European American Enterprise Council, as Enrich, or as an advanced business developer, we are here to help you, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Herman. Sebastian, you are muted. I see you talking, but you are muted.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Herman. And I think now, Babis, is your presentation?
Okay, let's move to the next slides. Yes.
Thank you, Herman, again.
Thank you very much, Herman, also from my side. As already mentioned, we have in our website 10 studies published, so market guides that are available publicly, but you need to register. So the market guides presented here have been developed in the context of Enrich and aim to provide relevant information about the US landscape. And therefore, we're presenting in these studies US innovation hubs and facilitators, main market opportunities and barriers, professional associations. We were presenting events, but due to COVID, these events are not taking any more place. And we also present federal and state level programs that promote agri-food innovation. The market guides aim to be effective tools for EU research and business in the two sectors, AgTech and food tech, in order to gain knowledge about the US innovation and market landscape. Here, in this webinar, we're going to shortly present some of the key aspects of agri-food, of agri-tech and food tech. However, we are going to focus more on the work of Temple University and also of Western growers, as this is important to know the local context. So about why agri-food is so important. Agri-food, so the aggregated agricultural, food, and related sectors contribute about $1 trillion to the US GDP, which is 5.4% of the total GDP. In fact, the size and importance of the US agricultural and food sectors can be demonstrated also in comparison to other countries. So let's imagine that we take only the GDP created by the agri-food sector. This would automatically mean that the US, only taking into account the agri-food sector, is the 16th largest economy in the world. As you can see in the slide, the nominal GDP of Indonesia, which is the 16th strongest economy, is 1.15 trillion, according to the IMF, in 2017, whereas the agri-food sector in the US is 1.53 billion. So you can see that it is very important, it's very large. You can also see that there are 21.6 million jobs in the US that relate to the agricultural and food sector. And in fact, moving to the next slide, you can see that the total output, to put some more statistics also, of the US farms equal to 132 billion, and therefore it is a leading market. As according to the US Department of Agriculture, there are the main drivers of change is technology, in particular sensors, machines, and the IT. And in fact, today we can see that what is important are the sophisticated technologies as robots, temperature and moisture sensors, aerial images, and GPS technology. And also, according to the same study of the US Department of Agriculture, it is suggesting that through the development of agtech technologies, the transformation of agricultural production will create a potential for between 50 and 65 billion annual gross benefit to the US. So based on these numbers, it is reasonable to expect that in the US, we will still have policies in favor of agricultural development, and also so that it remains one of the leader of the agtech market. At the same time, we see also a similar drive in the EU. For the EU, digitalization of agricultural processes represents also a major tool in achieving the objectives set by the Common Agricultural Policy. The EU recognizes that the new technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain, IoT, high-performance computing, and 5G, and their adoption by the EU farmers are key for improving the competitiveness of the European agriculture in the global market. At the same time, you can see that there are different initiatives in the different member states where you can see that the member states are cooperating in order to closely move forward in these areas and to see how they can even more develop the common agricultural policy and the smart agricultural production in the EU. Providing some details about food tech for the US, you can see that more than a third of the top 50 global food and beverage manufacturing companies are headquartered in the US. And about 1/3 of the global food tech unicorns are located in the US. This is of course the largest number, and you can see in the graph that it is compared to China, it is where it has 24% only, 12% are UK, 9% India, Germany 6%. So you can see that by far the US is the most important market also in food tech, also in terms of unicorns. And over the years, the US has been also the main hub of investment, as global investment in food tech is about 45% of it is in the US. Seeing the same from the EU side, food tech is also a very important sector for the EU. In fact, it is the largest manufacturing industry in the EU in terms of jobs and value added. The sector in the EU employs about 4.7 million and generates a turnover of 1.2 trillion. And here, for the EU, SMEs represent 99% of the food and drink companies, and are also, these SMEs are responsible for almost 50% of the food and beverage turnover. So this is an important fact for the EU to acknowledge, and therefore through various Horizon and other European fund programs, you will see that that we are going to present in a bit. You see that there is also from the EU side money put from the public in order to promote the agri-food sector. Between 2014 and 2018, the EU food tech ecosystem has been growing very fast. And we can see that the triangle between Paris, London, and Berlin are the leading ecosystems. Someone has opened his microphone and I can hear myself twice. Thank you, if you can just mute it. So now concerning EU possibilities for SMEs and startups. One important element is EIT Food, which is a knowledge and innovation community which was established by the European Institute of Innovation Technology in 2008, and aims to create 86 and support 500 startups in the next 7 years, providing 192 million. They aim to have 147,000 citizens participating in annual food trust measuring tools over the 7 years. So you see there is a lot of money put from the EU for EAT food. Also, what is more important maybe for some of the startups that are joining us today are the possibilities that some of the European funded projects offer or have offered in the past. So currently there is a European project about blockchain in agri-food, one of the many, but I am going to say about BlockIS. It is a project that focuses on blockchain in agri-food, among others, and it has recently closed its second call, where it provides startups about 60,000, where if they go the whole process, 60,000 in order to develop their blockchain solution in agri-food. At the same time, we have had the Digital Innovation Hub in agri-food of Diatomic, and also other digital innovation hubs that are focusing on agri-food. We see other projects like DataBio, which has about data-driven bioeconomy, and maybe now more important for the upcoming ones. So we have a new project which is called Demeter. It is a farmer-driven, interoperable, and smart manufacturing IoT-based platforms. And here I'm going to make a spoiler. In fact, they are going to have an open call published mid of September, most probably. What I'm going to mention now is subject to change, but by the end of September, we await that they will open up their call. So the objective of this call is to enlarge their pool of agro-interoperable technologies by engaging tech SMEs in the development, integration, interoperability for the technological products and services. And to give you numbers, the call will have a total budget of 300,000. It will fund approximately between 8 and 12 projects. This means that the maximum budget is up to 30,000 per project, which will have a duration of 6 months. There will be challenges, subject to change, of course, focusing on sensors and monitoring, interoperable systems, blockchain, and data analysis. Okay, I'm presenting here a bit more abstract. This will be concrete when the open call is being published, and this will happen probably in the next 15 to 20 days. At the same time, we have also the Smart Agrihabs, which is another Horizon project which has 20 million euros available, and this project is very large. It has more than 164 partners from the agri-food sector, and the project will assign up to 5 million funding to open calls. So, of course, if you are a startup and SME interested in these areas, you could also check, except the US, also maybe the EU funding that will help you also move to the US, because as also Herman mentioned before, you need funding also when you go to the US. So you can try to see to go on both directions. Now, from the US side, they will be described a bit more later by my colleagues, but you can see that there are initiatives by the Department of Agriculture, which provides leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and rural development. And also it is also supporting research in the food and agricultural science research. However, it must be here mentioned that according to the numbers of 2018, only 4% of grants were directed towards food research. 36.6% was directed for agricultural research, and 59.4% for all other research, meaning forestry, biofuels, education, and extension activities. Manufacturing USA is also very important in the agri-food sector because it promotes several funding project opportunities related to different technologies. However, they are highly relevant to food tech, like digitalization, robotics, and sensor technologies. At the same time, we have NSF, the National Science Foundation, that provides support through grants and cooperative agreements to universities, business, and informal science organizations. And also the Small Business Administration. I will pass here the floor to my colleague Blandine, who will present you some of the current open opportunities. Blandine, you have the floor.
Thank you, Babis. And if my connection is not good, let me know.
Okay.
So I just wanted to you can hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. I just wanted to give a little teaser on grants you may have heard of, SBRI and STTR. It's a mechanism that helps small businesses in the United States to really invest in their technology and take some risks. So you can apply for those grants if your partner or if you have a US entity who is owned by US 50%, more than 50% by US citizen or permanent residents, so green card holders. And really, and having max 500 employees. Small businesses in the US is 500 employees. In Europe, for European Commission is 250 employees, so little difference there. There are two phases. Phase one, you have to start with phase one. You cannot go straight to prototype development or phase two. It's between 50K and 250K. It really depends on the agency. Each agency has different amounts, different deadlines. Sometimes they have specific topics. Sometimes you just can present your technology, your topics, and their processes also varies. Just few deadlines on that. So NIS that Babis mentioned is closed for 2020. We're waiting to hear for the new dates for 2021. NSF, their deadline is December 3rd. For USDA and SBI phase one, the deadline is October 22nd. So, and also you can look by topics because sometimes your technology, you will have the link on the PowerPoint. Sometimes you may end up in another agency for certain technologies. Next slide, please. I just wanted also to mention a few additional grants and support opportunities. I saw in the chat Alexander mentioned also Europe who has an open call. I wanted to mention the EAEC Accelerator from the European Commission that used to be called SME Instrument, where the deadline is very soon, October 7th. It's kind of the equivalent of the SBRI grant by the United States. That also is if you're deep tech and you're ready to launch, the amount is a bit larger. It's up to 2.5 million, and if with a blended finance and some equity, it can go up to 15 million euros. NGI Explorers, we mentioned it because 3 of Enrich companies have been selected by NGI Explorers thanks to Temple University for 3 pilot projects. It will reopen early 2021. And Enrich, we can help you to find the right university partner for that as well. Erasmus for young entrepreneurs, if you are less than 2 years in business and you're looking for mentors, Erasmus could be a good way to connect with a more experienced mentor in the US to support your business. Small grant, but you may want to look it up. And there is also some grants for researchers. So if you are in a research organization, universities, research labs, there are also some grants for the principal investigators. Some of that grant money can go to contractors or partners or companies. And most of the activities, 50% of the time, needs to be spent in Europe, but it's okay to also spend it in the US. For additional grants for researchers, look at Access to support mobility of researchers. Next slide, please. There is a Yield Lab that actually talked last week. They have an accelerator program in Ireland and in St. Louis and other continents as well. They invest in early stage agri-food. So for the European one, look it up. The deadline is September 25th. It's quite short applications. Just wanted to mention what Enrich can help. You've seen our kit for research studies. There are also kits, more general kits, first aid information kits on our website that you can look how to do business in the US, how to do research collaborations in the US, for example. We have different ecosystem series as the one last week. We are preparing a very busy 2021 program for ecosystem series. So probably in the first months of 2021, we'll have another one on agri-food. We'll have Tony in a few minutes. We're going to present more in detail the turnkey solution, J1 Scholar solution we have at Temple University to launch pilots at Temple, and there are also funding mechanism like Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Also, you may want to look at the EU cluster collaboration platform because your local cluster may have some local grants, help to reach the US. You may want to look at the different Enterprise Europe Network events. There are a bunch of events that are free where you can connect with partners all around the world. Select USA, which is part of the Department of Commerce, who actually presented last week as well, list on their website kind of all the local grants and accelerators in the US. It's not exhaustive, it's changing all the time, but it's a very good website to have some resources. And look in the chat, Alexander developed more about Europe, so you definitely want to check that program, especially it's closing very soon. And Babis, I think it's back to you.
Thank you very much, Blandine. Yes, and now it's time to focus more on the two different locations where our speakers come from. So we're going to focus on California, first of all. So for California, it is what is important is digitalization, novel processing technologies, robotics, sensor technology, and sustainable packaging. So as you can also see in the slide, 25% of the total global investments in the agri-food and tech industry was done in California. This amounts about 4.9 billion. So this is a very important area, but as also Herman mentioned before, maybe it is for a starter a number too high. So verticals in North California are precision agriculture with technologies like robotics, AI, machine learning, data, sensors, sustainable protein with synthetic biology, biotech, the supply chain, shipping, logistics, of course, blockchain traceability, and others like animal tracking and health, dairy, poultry, biomass. So California is a very large area. So maybe it is for the more advanced startups and scale-ups. So maybe it is easier for you to focus, as also mentioned before, in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Here in this, we have digitalization, novel processing technologies, and we can see that it is the area, so the state is one of the leaders in the US based on the number of food manufacturing companies, as there are more than 2,300 operating across the state. It is the largest subsector in Philadelphia's manufacturing industry, and many big companies have sites in the area, like Nestlé, that has 4 manufacturing plants, Campbell Soup, Hershey. So the next slide will present some verticals that exist in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. As you can see from the map, it is, and I also mentioned before, is very clear to important hubs like New York City, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. It has very important ports, which is the Philadelphia port is the U.S. gateway for important fruits. Very important. It is important for food and beverage processing and forestry. But now it is time to pass the floor to Antony DiBruno, who is the business development of Temple University and can give you more details about what Temple does and what Philadelphia does.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you loud.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Terrific. So my name, thank you once again for the introduction, is Antony DiBruno. I'm with Temple University. Let me just give you a little bit about our institution. We are a research or an R1 institution with approximately $250 million in annual research funding. We have more than 35,000 students. We have 17 schools and colleges with over 100 programs. We have 8 campuses worldwide, including both within Philadelphia in the capital city of Harrisburg. We also have a suburban campus, which is what a lot of this conversation will be about, in Ambler, PA. And we also have 2 campuses in Rome and Tokyo. We receive about $4 to $40 million in outside capital to advance technology partners and spin-off product launches. We're an integrated hub. We have an Office of Technology, Commercialization, and Business Development. We also house a small business development center and its Enrich incubator inside. Next slide, please. Oh, good. Okay. And the program, Growing Wealth Through Opportunities, our Agri-Food Tech Living Laboratory and Accelerator. We are focusing on precision agriculture, food transformation, and supply chain issues. We also are looking at equipment for hydroponics, aquaponics. We presently and have done soil research. Our additional interest is working with small producers, working for more biodiversity and food justice issues, all of which have been exacerbated by COVID. We're also able to provide infrastructure. We have offices, green fields. Our campus is a 187-acre arboretum. We have greenhouses, aquaponic, hydroponic labs, and equipment. We also have access to training and mentorship, and we're willing to work with you for support for visas and to help foster business growth and work with tech piloting and see if we can get folks packaged for investment. Our turnkey soft landing solutions start from about $1,400 a month, US, and we have some success stories. We have 5 Enrich startups, 1 in food equipment, and as was mentioned before, we're lucky enough to be awarded 3 groups to come with us through NGI Explorers. Next slide, please. Oh, hold on. I do have some additional notes here. We also work with, there you go. Yeah, okay. With Ben Franklin Technology Partners, that's one of our folks that we work well with in the city. They invest $6 to $8 million a year in Greater Philadelphia projects, and their interest in agri-food are urban and vertical farms, food processing and recycling, agri-tech lighting, plasma automation, sensors, and AI drones. This group adds approximately 30 companies a year to their current portfolio of more than 225 companies. And we also have different programs for loans for new farmers, and we like to invest in the support of organization with rural development grants, agriculture and youth grants. And there are also many other non-agri-food specific tech acceleration in the region, such as Dream It, which is focused on urban tech and health tech, NextFab, which focuses on specific hardwares, and Backstage Accelerator, which focuses on funding underrepresented funders, or folks in need of funding. And that's what I have for you all.
Thank you very much, Antony. So we'll pass now the floor to Dennis Donohue. Dennis, you have the floor.
Okay, good morning, and thanks very much for the invitation to join you. And I am Dennis Donnie, Director of Western Growers Innovation Center, and just very quickly, we'll note I was a grower shipper for a number of years. I was in the produce industry for 30 years, and also served as the mayor of Salinas for 6 years. And ag tech was really at the heart of our economic development strategy. So I've been around the ag tech deal for a dozen years or so, and happy to let you know a little bit about Western Growers. Next slide. And while that's coming on, what I will tell you about Western Growers is all of us in the produce industry belong to a number of key trade groups, but Western Growers is particularly unique and really in terms of where a lot of the challenges and opportunities are in specialty crop production ag. And let me quickly clarify, by specialty crop, we mean those crops that are not subsidized, no price supports, and that's really a point of distinction between Western U.S. ag and the middle of the country. We represent the multi-generational family farms and processors in California, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico, and that group alone of producers represents about 60% of North America's fresh fruits, vegetables, and nuts. And then we're nearly half of North America's organic production areas in those items. One of the things that actually connects us with the Philadelphia area and the Philadelphia ecosystem is that in order to do what we do in terms of producing, and most of our players are year-round, so we're operating, whether it's producing, sourcing, or selling, in some 32 U.S. states and countries. Our presence is probably most notable in your neck of the woods, that most of the major U.S. salad processors, Taylor Farms, Fresh Express, Dole, and Bonduelle, a trade name often known by more ReadyPack, in fact, have facilities nearby. And so the additional connections are more and more because of cost and regulation in California. You're seeing a lot of our producers cost average California, getting more local and spreading where they grow and source. And so, for instance, we are one of our major mushroom players has a presence in your neck of the woods. And so, and what's interesting and I think important is relative to as it connects Western Growers and the Philadelphia area and general ecosystem is we have the ability to produce, source, and sell and manage and really anywhere throughout the Americas. So as more homegrown deals emerge, more local sourcing deals emerge, there'll be additional connectivity with your neck of the woods. We're obviously paying close attention to the indoor farming that is emerging, particularly in the Northeast. And also many of us, many of our players are certainly very familiar with the port system because the tree fruit, stone fruit, that type of deal, we're generally working on a year-round basis and have partners in the Americas, particularly Chile, and a lot of that fruit for our grower shippers arrive in your neck of the woods. So there really is an actual connection between California and Philadelphia, and the Pennsylvania area. And I would simply echo, and next slide, please, that in terms of what we're looking to do, and I make a distinction. We're the Western Growers Center for Innovation and Technology. So we're cheering for all the accelerators and incubators, but our job is to provide some of those same support services, but our real focus is help folks cross the finish line, provide market access to the key players, because more often than not, depending upon what the technology or the solution is, a Western Growers member is usually the target of the entrepreneur or the investor and that sort of thing. And so what we look to do is create market access. The physical manifestation of our strategy is the Innovation Center located in Salinas because of its proximity to the Silicon Valley, you know, as you see on the screen, gateway to, gateway from, but we're in Salinas, but we operate throughout the entire network, and we certainly understand it's a global game. But I would echo some of the earlier comments as it relates to specialty crops. California is the landing pad. It is where proof of concept needs to take place. So what we look to do is create market access and then help companies engage directly with growers. Some folks are ready to go and ready to sell, but more often than not, there really is a real co-development phase that the end user can help best work with companies to get the final product, go through the various iterations and that sort of thing. So the comment about the importance of trials cannot be underestimated. So one of our key features of our program is a grower trial network where we create access, and we've had to shift that to virtual this year. We anticipate a hybrid model on a go-forward basis, but it will include designated test farms that can help with the trialing process. And I'll just quickly close with, when we got started, our priorities and what we focus on, but are not limited to, is we're certainly looking at the food safety issue, particularly as it relates to prevention and rapid diagnostic technologies. Automation is front and center at the top of our agenda. That situation has certainly been exacerbated by COVID. And then the precision ag of we all have to do more with less, big data, all of those things are real priorities. But we're also, some of the other verticals that you laid out, we want to make sure we can create ongoing access to entrepreneurs all over the world. We've had some set companies we've worked with, and they are from all over the world, and we think that's very, very important. So I would just close with we really view ourselves as the landing spot and the destination for market access into the specialty crop world, and our job, as I say, is to help you cross the finish line. So that's a little bit of what we do, and I appreciate the invitation to join you this morning.
Thank you, Denis. Thank you for this great presentation that gives us another perspective on all the good things we can do together. And good to know that you're doing those online programs too, because we are working on that for Q4 2020 and Q1 2021 with maybe Cal Poly and others who work on online programs. So we can discuss that, and I'm looking forward to our collaboration. Thank you again. Babis, I think we have a Q&A phase. I know we just a little. I guess it's normal for Europeans. Keeping the time is not always easy. And also, I guess, the excitement of organizing those events and making sure everybody can participate and talk and announcing the winners. Anybody has any question? We had a chance to see the speakers. Anybody who wants to turn on the camera and ask questions, and maybe specific questions corresponding to their need, to the situation with COVID. We are here for the next few minutes. You can use the chat room for that. Babis, you want to add anything?
At the same time, I would like to share that our next activities. So while we're waiting for the questions to chat, so we have upcoming activities are the NIH Technology Showcase in Frederick, Maryland, and until the end of December, we have the Care and Industry Together Against Corona. That is being together with EN. I think Sebastian, you have the floor.
So we have other matchmaking events. This is a matchmaking event. That's a platform in collaboration with Enterprise Europe Network. We have other matchmaking events happening now. You can, for all of you, it's good to know that Europe has been known for doing a lot of matchmaking events during trade shows or around trade shows with the support often of Enterprise Europe Network. If you go online and you're specific, you're part of an industry, tap those keywords and look for matchmaking, and you will see that there's a lot of ways to connect with other Europeans or with US companies. In the case of coronavirus, that event has been organized to collect all the suppliers, introduce them with each other, and for anybody that was looking for a specific product. At the time, it was just gloves and masks, but now we're talking about more advanced type of technology that's being introduced to the platform. I just had an introduction between Stanford and a company that was providing technologies. It happened yesterday. Everybody's working on the next between the vaccines and all the other solutions. So this platform is there until December 31st because we have a lot more work to do on collaboration. So you should look at it, and if you think you can bring something to that endeavor and bring solutions, you're welcome to participate. Any questions? I want to make sure that we give a little time for that. Hands able to connect now. I see that. We saw you coming. Yeah, around a little later. Again, you can use your video, your microphone, and the chat room. Babis, you want to add anything?
I would like to point here that we are going to make available the recording of this webinar on our website. So in case someone wants to see again the slides he's able to do in the webinar, he's able to do that later on. So that's for Hans. I would like to remind everybody that they can go and register in order to receive the studies that we have, the 10 studies. Of course, we mentioned quite some activities, quite some calls that are open now, and some of them are closing near. So, I mean, the one that described by Alexander in the chat room closed on Friday, I think. So there are quite some activities ongoing. We have quite some activities ongoing as Enrich. And that's it from my side.
Yeah.
Sebastian, I don't know if you want to, or our speaker.
I see a question about ranking. So yeah, so we will send the score to everyone once they participated, the startups that participated to that ecosystem showcase series with the pitch event. We will send the score in the comments. I think Jack, who is still around, should be taking care of that. And we will organize a call for the 3 companies that we announced today, call with the PR group to make sure that we collect all the right information. I'm just looking at the chat room. There's nothing else. Babis, you can end the call again. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Herman. Thank you all for participating. We try to make it as concise as possible. We gave you the link, everyone on the chat room, to access those papers. We can also send them, but really they're right there. You can download them. Then we gave you the link on the Enrich website, the network. That's where we announce the network and all the events or the activities. It's happening again for another 3 years and a half. Many other ways to interact. Our goal is really to support long-term and in a sustainable fashion the EU tech ecosystem, researchers, young entrepreneurs, so they can enter the US market. But like said Herman, it takes time, it takes resources to succeed in the US. But the earlier you start, the earlier you have those connections, the earlier you understand what it takes. And that's the point of this exercise. We talk about the journey because there's an education part to understand all of that, and then being connected to the right ecosystem, trying the technology, a lot of product management steps, and little by little, doing your first deal, closing your first partner, and I'm sure all the participants, as you know, are here to help. So that's why we do those events very often online. I think we're good. Babis, I don't see any other question.
No.
You want to end the call?
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much to our speakers for today's webinar. Thank you very much also for to our participants. And please stay in touch. Here's our website. Connect with us, and we're going to answer your questions in case you have some of them by email. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Nice evening.
And stay safe.
Stay safe.